Welcome back to the Shoop Sports Studio. It has been a minute refocusing my life, some of the content that I've been making, or I guess in this case, haven't been making. I'm back and back with another important topic. Today, we're going to talk about the importance of line shopping in sports betting. Why is it that people think it doesn't matter? Why does it matter? And how you can do it effectively, quickly, and aid yourself in becoming a profitable sports bettor. At the end of the day, we're trying to make money, so let's do that. So, what is line shopping for those that don't know? Line shopping in sports betting is the process of discovering a bet that you would like to place and then going to multiple sports books and seeing which sportsbook offers the bet that you want at the best available price. Now, on the surface, this seems obvious and straightforward. You should try to get the best bang for your buck, no matter what you're buying. It doesn't have to be a sports bet. It can be eggs at the grocery store. It could be gas, going to the cheapest gas station. Anything you buy, if you can, you want to try to save the most money, right? But for some reason, in sports betting, we want to go where it's convenient. We're like the people in the grocery store, like at Target, who are like, well, I'm here, so I might as well get the more expensive brand, I don't know, toothpaste or whatever, just because I'm here. In that case, it makes sense because you're already there, so you might as well buy an item that would take you, a few minutes to drive over to this next place to get it cheaper. But in the world of online sports betting, we have this great tool called the internet and applications where you can hop from app to app almost instantly, without having to leave, your app or whatever you're using to place your bets, right? It's very convenient to line shop. It's not as convenient to find the best price when it comes to commodities. But yet people don't do it. And the reason they don't do it is because there's an obsession in sports betting with having the right pick. People want to know what's the pick tonight? Who's going to win tonight's game? That is not the premise of what sports betting is about. So let's kind of dive in. We're going to go into OddsJam, and I'm going to show you a basic, rundown of a page for a game, for the odds, and we'll kind of go into how line shopping can really make or break your profitability. All right, so let's go in here. Okay, so here we are. We're in OddsJam. Right now we're at the NoVig calculator, but we're gonna do is we're gonna go over to, let's say, basketball. Basketball's on tonight. We're gonna go to college basketball. And the first game I see is Lehigh versus Army tonight at 6 o'clock. And for those that don't know, OddsJam is a wonderful tool that you can sign up. You can get a free 7-day trial, and you get access to the best bets on the market using the Positive EV tool. But what I like to do the most with OddsJam is I like to use this page to compare odds for all events. Well, compare all the odds that all sportsbooks offer for a specific event. That is, to be more specific. Now, you don't necessarily need OddsJam to do what I'm about to do, which is look at different, money lines and point spreads. It makes it a bit easier. It deletes a couple steps in between, and speed can be the name of the game in sports betting, especially if you have a big odds discrepancy, the faster you get in, the more likely you're going to get it. But I digress. What you can do is if you have a couple sportsbooks, which you use, which I recommend, you should have multiple sports books to widen your options. Let's say you use MGM, Caesars, and DraftKings. You can get these 3 sports books, right? And you can just hop on, put them all in 3 tabs, and look at the money line for the game that you want to play. And let's say you like Lehigh, well, you probably want to bet them on DraftKings at minus 135. If you like Army, well, you have multiple options. BetMGM has it at plus 120. Bet Rivers has plus 120. ESPN Bet has plus 120. Now, let's say you liked Lehigh, but you only had access to FanDuel. FanDuel is one of the most popular sports books out there. Most people have access to it. So let's say FanDuel. So you like Lehigh, and your favorite, talking head or your favorite sharp on Twitter says they like Lehigh, and they got them at minus 135 on DraftKings. And you go in to place that exact same bet, and you see that it's minus 140. But you say, close enough, right? So you go and place the bet for minus 140. So let's break down this math really quick. All right, so let's open up another tab. Let's see. So I'm going to share my entire screen actually real quick. All right, so let's open up another tab, and let's go to we can do a parlay calculator because it's basically the same thing. So let's say we wager $100 on this event, and your sharp gets at minus 135. He's going to make $74. If you bet the same thing, you're going to make about $71. So it's a difference of about $250. $250 really isn't that much. $250 doesn't really get you a whole lot nowadays. It can get you like a candy bar. But if you were to consistently do this over time, right? So if you're consistently getting 5 points lower than what your favorite sharp offered, then imagine the compounding on $250 every single time what you're losing out on. Over just 10 bets, that's $25. If you do this 10 times, you would be losing $25 in the long run. And that's assuming you win every time. The thing is that there's also a really good chance that you lose the bet. And of course, in that situation, you guys would both lose your $100. But when there's a win, the other person is making more back on what they lost, and you're not. So you're putting yourself into more of a hole than this sharp is. So to think that the odds, whatever you're getting, just to pick matters, it's really not that simple. It comes down to if you like a bet or if you want to follow a sharp, right? You want to follow his pick, and he says he got this at minus 135, then you better get at minus 135 too. Otherwise, it is just not the same pick. It is not the same pick. If we go to our Novig Fair Odds calculator, which basically takes the price and translates it to a percentage prediction that that value is going to win. If we were just to say that, minus 135 plus 135, that's implying that this side has a 57.45% chance of winning. Minus 140 implies slightly higher, 57.82. So it's not that the chances of the team winning went up. It's that you got a higher implied price, right? You want to get the lowest price possible that you can every single time. So I think we understand kind of how line shopping works and why it's important, but how do you use it to your advantage, right? If you're looking to utilize this and use it to your advantage, how do you do it? All right. Well, let's just take this example. So if we want, in other videos I talked about the OddsJam perfect line and Pinnacle's line and how you should, try to be beating Pinnacle's odds. But the reality is that Pinnacle gets it wrong sometimes too. And sometimes the best way to look at what the best bet is for a market is just look at what does the consensus of the sportsbook say. So if you like Army, what you need to know is that many different sports books are offering this plus 120 price for you to buy them at. I count at least, there's like 6 or 7 sports books that are offering plus 120 or somewhat close to it. There's no value on Army here. because it seems like the market has came to a consensus here that this should be priced somewhere between plus 110 and plus 120. And if you're betting this at plus 120 on BetMGM, just know that you're not really getting much of a deal, even if you're getting the best odds here. But if you were to bet Lehigh at minus 135, you can at least be assured that you're getting the best odds on the market, that this isn't found anywhere else, that it's only found close on Betfred at minus 137. And I know they have limits there. So DraftKings doesn't limit you as hard. So you could probably place more down if you're interested in that. But in general, money lines are tighter because everyone bets money lines. So the sports books have more information on how to price them, which means that it's going to be harder to find deals. That is why I like alts. So let's go to point spread. And it'll be a little bit different. So first of all, you've got a different consensus on whether the point spread should be 2.5 or 2, right? If you like Army to cover, well, getting that minus 103 is not a bad deal. If you like Lehigh to cover minus 2.5, you can get them on Pinnacle, which you can't bet in the US, but if you had access to Pinnacle, minus 105 would be a great deal, right? But let's go down to these all odds. You can see that Lehigh, or this spread at minus 6.5, Lehigh to cover 6.5 is a huge favorite, but no other sportsbook is offering that high of a spread. The only one close is DraftKings offering 4.5. And then you look over here. If you think Lehigh is a lock to cover that minus 2.5 spread, well, now you can get an alt line of plus 3.5 at minus 220 offered up at FanDuel. DraftKings is offering minus 260. Now, how do I know that this minus 220 is a good bet? Well, the holds are completely different here, right? So on one hand, you've got your minus 260 implying a 67.68% chance of that covering. For Lehigh's case, take that minus 220. You have a 65% chance. So let's run that one more time. So we got 65% here on FanDuel, 67% on DraftKings. That's a huge difference. On the flip side, if you like Army to cover an advanced spread, then this plus 190 is a great deal. However, one thing that you and I both know is true. A 60% chance of winning is has a much better chance of you making return on your investment than a 32% chance of winning. So if one sportsbook is willing to offer this at minus 260 and another is offering at minus 220, this minus 220 is a pretty good deal. And to be honest, so is this minus 365. It's just a pretty steep price to pay. But I will be betting this minus 220 tonight, just to put my money where my mouth is and show you exactly what I mean. I would like to show you an example of something that looks like a good bet, but isn't as much. Let's go to a different game. Let's see if we can find Oklahoma State versus Cincinnati, because it's a big game. They should have some alt markets. So we see here that Bet365 is offering Oklahoma State to cover plus 18 at minus 450. These other sportsbooks are offering this bet at minus 500. So it's 50 points more. It's a good deal, right? Well, the thing that I look at is not just the difference between the odds, but what's the difference with the hold? If you see the Bally and BetRivers who post the same odds, that's why they're the exact same. So it's basically one sportsbook versus another. Even though the spread on Bet 365 is much lower, on the flip side, the other end of the bet is about the same. There's no real advantage here. It's only a couple points. And when it's that huge of an underdog, it doesn't make too much of a difference. So it's not that this minus 450 is a good deal. It's that this minus 500 is such a bad bet because of the large width, the large market width. Sportsbooks price different props based on how confident they are in the market. Clearly, Bally and Bet Rivers, whoever runs their lines for them, is not confident in this advanced spread. And you can see it as we go down. Same thing here. It's the exact same hold for Cincinnati minus 17. It's just that Bet 365 has a little more market confidence baked into their price, right? Even here, FanDuel, you can get Oklahoma State plus 16.5 at minus 290. But the other side, the other side of the bet isn't that much different. 220, 225. Not enough for me to want to make a bet on it, right? You look same thing here. 144, 148, not a big difference. If we go back to that Lehigh versus Army game, it's a big difference between the spread here. It's an 18-point difference, which is substantial. We already saw it was like a 2% difference in width, or winning percentage, that is, not width. So that's what makes it a good bet. Really, you can find this kind of advantage on your bet for any of these games. Here's another example. Western Carolina to cover plus 11.5 at minus 350. That's a really good deal. I don't use Bet 365 because I think they're a bad sports book. I've had bad experiences there, but if I did have access to it, this would be a pretty good bet, as opposed to the atrocity that Bally and Bet Rivers are offering. Then we go even further down on the other end of the spectrum. You see that UNC Greensboro to cover this spread is pretty good too. It's a 15-point difference. It's not a huge advantage. I do know that UNC Greensboro is a good team. But yeah, this width is enough to make me want to consider this play. And we have other sports books to go off of. Another thing I look at is FanDuel is offering this at minus 365, and you can get the same bet for plus 4. So there's value here. There's different ways to line shop, guys. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. But don't limit yourself to just tailing picks, right? Look at the market. Analyze the market. Try to find a deal as quickly as possible. And once you find that deal, cash in. Go for the deal. At the end of the day, we're all trying to make money here, right? Get the best bang for your buck every single time. You won't regret it. Anyway, this is Shoop, and I'm signing out.